People who know prime numbers, people who understand how prime numbers work, will be much better in any math classroom in America than those who don't. Prime numbers are like the cornerstone of pre-algebra. If you don't know what prime numbers are, don't even try doing anything with fractions because you will get frustrated, especially if you're trying to simplify fractions in an efficient manner. Let me show you how to find prime numbers and then use the skill of factor trees and factor ladders to break numbers down and use them as you need them to be used. If you know prime numbers and if you know how to add and subtract fractions of unlike denominators, then algebra is much better. So prime numbers is very important topic. On my YouTube channel, Counting to Calculus, we've covered the topic of the applications of prime numbers in cryptography. Briefly, I explained the history. Euclid is the guy behind this, the famous Greek mathematician. There's actually this book called The Great Scientist. It's just a general Barnes and Noble type book. And they talk about Euclid. This one is about, starts with Euclid. Euclid was phenomenal. He wrote a book called The Element of Geometry, which is available online for free. And so we'll talk about some of that later. But in our curriculum here, which is a classical approach to math and science that teaches the concepts in math, but it also teaches the historical context of the discoveries, we're talking about the history of math. And we're also talking about a Montessori approach where you get to use a hands-on approach to explore the things that you love. So let's talk about how to find prime numbers. Imagine if someone came up to you and says, what is the sum of the first 10 prime numbers? I mean, I just love that problem. I mean, the problem is just beautiful. Imagine someone says, what is the sum of the first 10 prime numbers? First, you need to find the prime numbers, and then you need to know what the sum is, right? Oh man, I wish they would put that on an exam someday. Anyways, for STEM Excellence, which is a community that we're building, stay tuned for more information. In the STEM Excellence community, we're basically going to have our own math tournaments, our math competitions. And one of the questions is going to have to do with prime numbers, like what I just said. So if you want to win a prize, I want to encourage you to make sure that you are learning your prime numbers. Here are some books that we're going to be looking at this year, by the way. We have Journey Through Genius. I'm going to be teaching that in the STEM Excellence community, teaching people about the history of math from ancient history all the way to the present. We're also going to be talking about two of my favorite people in science, Michael Faraday and James Clerk Maxwell. Everybody who knows me knows how much I love those guys. And then my favorite mathematician, Leonhard Euler. So basically my three favorite people in science, I'll just let the cat out of the bag. These are my favorite people. James Clerk Maxwell, Michael Faraday, and Leonhard Euler. Now, this guy is not my favorite, but he is kind of a big deal in science, Isaac Newton. And we're going to talk about him as well. So stay tuned this year in the STEM Excellence community. We're reading these books. Why are we reading these books? Because it will open your eyes to see math in a different light. It will open your eyes to understand the history of math and science like never before. So on my Living Sensibly with Amos Tarfa, I will be talking about the historical context of these people. On my Counting to Calculus channel, I'll be doing the math, if that makes sense. So if you want to learn math and science, go to Counting to Calculus. If you want to learn how to live and learn lessons from history, look at Living Sensibly with Amos Tarfa. I have a company called Learning Institute for Excellence, and that's the company that oversees my curriculum work. I'm looking forward to transforming math education around the world, starting with America. I need every child in America to get to calculus. So my 5-year plan is I'm getting everybody to calculus. That's the plan. Anyone who wants to be good at math in America can be good at math. And it starts with understanding prime numbers. So in our Counting to Calculus series, I'm sorry I've mentioned a few books. I'm just going to mention one more book. It's a book and a workbook or practice problems book. So this is called Counting to Calculus, Understanding Mathematics from Counting to Calculus. This is a textbook. This is the book with practice problems. Every child in America needs to get to calculus. No exceptions. Why? Because it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Just think about this, and then we'll do prime numbers. Math is beautiful. We're teaching kids these concepts, and then we're telling kids that they don't need to do calculus. I mean, how terrible of an idea is that? We're giving you all the tools to do this thing that we're telling you you don't need to do. Our pedagogy, our approach to teaching math and science needs to change. We need to look at it like an engineer would look at it. What is the goal in mind? And then how do I get to that goal? So my goal is every child does calculus. Ideally, calculus 1, 2, statistics, and discrete math. Everybody, before you graduate high school, you have those down. Even if you want to go on and become a theologian, a philosopher, something that you're like, oh, I don't need to do more math. Well, I don't know if you know, but some of the top mathematicians back in the day were actually theologians and philosophers. René Descartes, Sir Isaac Newton, Blaise Pascal, we could go on and on. So it's important that we understand that math is beautiful without even if you don't plan to become a mathematician, it's a beautiful thing to do, period. Okay, so that's the goal. Let's get everybody to calculus, starting with understanding math, counting to calculus. The first thing is you need to know what a number is. So that's something I discussed in a different video you can find on counting to calculus. There's types of numbers, but one of the most important types is called prime numbers. And a man by the name of Eratosthenes has shown us a way to find them. So imagine you list the number 1 to 30, and you could do this for all the way to 100, but you list the numbers 1 to 30. 1 is not a prime and it's not composite. 1 is just 1. Let's just leave 1 alone. 2 is a prime number because there's nothing that goes into 2 apart from 2 in itself, right? It's not divisible by anything other than 2 in itself. So 2 is prime. We cancel everything that has 2 connected to it, like all the multiples of 2. That's why we put an X across them. 3 is a prime number. We cancel everything that goes all the way, that multiples of 3. 4 is not prime because it's divisible by 2. 5 is a prime number, so we cancel everything that is a multiple of 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. In order to do the sieve of Eratosthenes very well, we need to know our multiplication table. I have a whole playlist on Spotify where I'm singing the times tables. That's how we learned them in Nigeria. So everybody needs to know their times tables, ideally by 3rd grade. But you know what? It's not the end of the world. Today's a new day. You can start working on it even if you're in 7th grade. So get your facts there. That's excellent. And then we have, so 2, 3, 5, 7. Notice that these are canceled, so we don't check them. But then you get to 11. 11 is not divisible, it's only divisible by itself and 1, so it's prime. So we add that to the list. We keep going. 13. 13 is prime. 17 is prime. 19 is prime. 23 is prime. 29 is prime. You could do this exercise and basically extend the multiples of any of these prime numbers, cancel out their multiples, and then what you're going to have is there are certain numbers that are not going to be canceled. Those numbers are prime numbers. So the sieve of Eratosthenes will teach you how to find prime numbers. And if you know how to work with prime numbers, the future is bright. Don't give up on math. Apply yourself to math excellence. Apply yourself to STEM excellence. Math is beautiful. No, not for any state standards, not for anything else. It's just beautiful. So welcome to STEM excellence as we journey or learn the story of mathematics, the story and the beauty of mathematics from counting to calculus. My name is Amos, the math guy, and I'll be your host as we go through this journey. Welcome aboard. Have a blessed day.